So this week was a week where a lot of people got absolutely destroyed in the market, and the price action in itself was really difficult most of the days this week. And I know a lot of people blew up profits they worked for weeks to attain, and they blamed the market. They eventually lost their edge, their psychology, and they spiraled into bigger and bigger losses. And what I want to talk about is that these are the weeks that separate the winners from the losers, because the winners didn't necessarily earn a lot of profits this week either, but what they did is they got the chance to prove their risk management and protection of their capital when price action is difficult. While the other traders who may also have performed well the previous weeks, especially last week, which was really good, they eventually had to give back some or all of their profits because they weren't able to protect their capital properly. So these weeks are actually what separates the profitable from the unprofitable traders. And if you made mistakes this week, or if you generally just wasn't able to have the correct mindset, or you eventually blew profits away, then I don't want you to be hard on yourself. I just want you to reflect on what happened, write everything down. This is really important, guys. Journal everything, how you felt up until this moment. I talked to one of my students, and he was really consistent for the last 3 weeks, but on one of his accounts, obviously, thankfully not all of them, he lost some profits this week. And it started with a small trade that was not necessarily outside of his plan, but it was a continuation of a trade from London session in New York session that he wanted to go in again. He got stopped at break even, and he wanted to go in again and try to catch that move, and it went against him. And instead of just losing 1% and calling it a day, he continued and he blew 4% that day. And at that point, his psychology was completely destroyed. So it always starts small, with a small loss, a small trade outside of your plan, and then you lose everything. When you get to that point, this is where you should just close MetaTrader, close TradingView, and just take the day off. And if it's the end of the week and you feel like you didn't make any profits this week and you just feel frustrated, it's actually better to take the week off, or just look at the charts briefly and just put it away as soon as you know that there is nothing that follows your plan, and then just wait several hours before going back to the charts again. This is the period where actually people fail and lose it, because you get this sense of, the market hasn't given me anything this week, this doesn't feel right, I've been disciplined for so long, and you feel entitled to get something. And then you get really frustrated, and this is where a lot of people blow up. It's going to be really painful, but you just have to refuse to enter the market when you shouldn't. So if you're interested in my strategy and my daily market analysis, there's a Discord linked in the bio where I go over my trading strategy, and I give you live market analysis on which days are high probability, which days are low probability, and what I'm looking for that particular session, that particular day, and where I think price is likely to be headed. So we have good periods of time in the market, and we have less good periods of time. When it's good periods, it's really easy. You get your setup, you take it, and you win. And it's not that difficult. And it's really easy to have a good psychology that week because you already made profits. But let's say you go break even like 5 times in a week, you take a loss, it feels really frustrating. You're doing everything right, you've been super disciplined, but you just don't get the result, and you feel like, how long is this going to take? This is taking too long. And you feel like you start to lose hope and lose faith in the process, and you think that you're doing something wrong. You need to find a different strategy, you need to tweak the strategy in order to get enough setups or profits. But the thing is, that's not how this stuff works. You just need to continue backtesting, become better, but You don't get better by forcing setups that are not there. Like, let's say 2 years ago, I obviously didn't have enough setups like I do today, but instead of just trusting the process and letting things unfold as they should and just backtest, become better, people start to force setups immediately. They start to do all of that stupid stuff, and as soon as you don't follow the plan and you don't have discipline, your brain is getting the signal that it's okay to not follow the rules anymore. And once you open that door, it's difficult to close it. And what usually ends up happening is most people just blow their account, and then they realize that this wasn't the best strategy or the best approach to the market. You can't do this 50% or 80% or 90%. You need to be all in, and you need to actually take accountability, and you can't blame everything else when you make stupid decisions in the market. So trading in itself is one of the hardest industries in the whole world, and if you think that you can do this halfway or not take this so serious, you're just going to work for months for profits and then just give it up quickly as soon as you lose focus or discipline. And that's what a lot of people do. It's not that they're not profitable or able to do this stuff, it's just that they eventually give in, they eventually give up. And I hate for my viewers, my students, to fall into that trap again and again and again. So I'm just hoping that everyone who watches this video are able to just, even though it feels really difficult, just don't fall into this spiral. And it always starts with one bad trade, one small trade that you probably shouldn't be doing. And you always have to ask yourself before taking a trade, if this trade hits stop loss, am I able to accept that outcome? And if you feel like you're not able to accept that, then you shouldn't take the trade. If you feel like that ruins your whole day or your whole week, then you shouldn't take that trade. If you however feel like it's okay if this trade doesn't work out, I look at this trade as something that is A+ setup and I want to give it a shot, then it's fine. But if you just feel like this isn't the best trade I could be taking and you refuse to accept the loss, then that's not a trade you should be taking. And the joy of winning in the market will never outshine the pain of losing, especially when you know that you did stuff that you shouldn't be doing, because you end up feeling really bad about yourself and you can't accept it, and it ruins your whole day and your whole identity and your psychology. So at least if the market doesn't give you something, you never have to feel bad about yourself for missing an opportunity. But if you do stuff that you shouldn't be doing and you lose, then you know that it will take a long time to get that profit back, and you're also giving back profits that you made the last weeks or even months sometimes. And it's important to know that eventually you will get decision fatigue and you will be tired of making decisions. And let's say you've been super disciplined the whole week and you feel like you're getting tired of making these decisions, you're not thinking properly or clearly anymore. Reduce the screen time in the market. Eventually you will think about all the disciplined decisions you made under pressure the whole week, but eventually get to that point where you can't do that anymore. Then you have to really just accept that it's the end of the week, you protect your capital, but you feel tired and you know that you're going to eventually blow up and make bad decisions, and it's going to be less painful if you just accept that and just take a step back from the market and view it as little as possible at the end of the week. Don't look at the market every single day when you get tired, when you feel like this is not the time to trade, and focus on other stuff in your life as well. Trading isn't the only thing that matters in your life. Focus on other stuff. Don't think about trading all the time, and you will eventually survive in this game. It's difficult for me to explain how you're going to make it. It's just about doing the right things, and you will get shocked because one thing leads to another. Your psychology becomes better. You see new opportunities. and you eventually get large wins. But in order to do that, you have to trust the process and you have to focus on doing the right steps. That's it. Good luck.